which is Noah. And this Torah portion is going to be Genesis chapter 9, verse 6 through chapter 11, Genesis chapter 6, verse 9 through Genesis 11, 32. Isaiah 54, 1 through 55, 5. And Luke chapter 17, verses 20 through 27. Con? All right, so we good to go? Now this Torah portion is going to go over the flood, when the Most High brought destruction and water upon the earth. All right, it's also going to go into the families getting preserved so that Yahweh's creation could continue. All right, so Yahweh's creation could continue, and Adam's rulership could be restored on the earth through the family of Shem, all the way down to his descendants, stopping at Yasharallah, Israel, to be the rulers of the earth. And we start from verse 9. All right, go ahead. And if you need to hold that, just hold it.
These are the offsprings of Noah. Noah was a righteous man, perfect in his generations. Noah walked with Yahweh. Noah had begotten 3 sons.
So when it says Noah walked with Yahweh, it means that Noah's ways were upright, and Yahweh had a relationship with him. Yahweh was constantly in his thoughts and was communing with him. Yahweh and the Alahayim were communing with Noah. All right, go ahead.
Shem, Ham, and Japheth. Now the earth had become
Shem, Ham, and Japheth are the fathers of everybody on the planet now. Those are the forefathers of everybody. We, the so-called Native nations, we come from the family of Shem. The Africans that are on the continent of Africa, that have never left Africa, that weren't under hardcore bondage and oppression, all right, that had their kingdom set up throughout Africa, ruling major players in the slave trade. These are the children of Ham. The children of Japheth are going to be your people in the Pacific, some of the Filipinos, mainly the people in Hawaii, Papua New Guinea, some of the Iranians, okay, Pacific Islanders, people like that, Guam, Samoa, people. These are the children of Japheth or Yapa, right? Still the same, right?
Now the earth had become corrupt before Yahweh.
Corrupt meaning people became wicked. Go ahead. With violence. It's like the earth now. Every movie, every show, every cartoon is filled with violence. Somebody doing something wrong and needing vengeance or paying somebody back. There's no movies about people getting justice under the Torah. All of the movies are about you acting upon your taste for revenge and getting that person back. All right, so the same spirit that was on the earth then is the same spirit on the earth now. Same spirit of revenge, same spirit of robbery, same spirit of violence. All right, everything has been robbed from every people. They've robbed continents, resources, and more importantly, they've robbed us, the children of Israel, from our homeland and scattered us to the 4 corners of the earth, because Yahweh allowed them and told them and made them to do that. He told them to do that to punish us for the iniquities that we did against him. Go ahead.
It was corrupted, for all flesh had corrupted its way upon the earth.
Mm-hmm.
And the highest said to Noah, flesh has come before me, for the earth is filled with robbery through them, and behold, I am about to destroy them from the earth. Make for yourself an ark of gopher wood. Make the ark with compartments,
which is different rooms.
and cover it inside and out with pitch.
Pitch is like black tar. Go ahead.
This is how you should make it: 300 cubits, the length of the ark,
Which is 450 feet long, feet wide,
and 30 cubits its height.
which is roughly about 45 feet high. So 4.5 stories. Okay.
A window shall you make for the ark, and
Like you get outside and get sores.
and as for me, behold, I'm about to bring flood upon the earth to destroy all flesh, in which there is a breath of life from under the heaven.
Reptilians, and then came back out after the 8 people made it through the flood. No other creatures. All right, everybody now comes from Noah. There's no giants from before the flood. There's no monsters that were on the earth before the flood that got destroyed through the flood. That the most high point is the humanoid creatures. Because remember, his nails and his hair is you're gonna stay bent over like this. If you be like this for most stretching and twisting all day because you ain't got proper posture. Okay. All right, go ahead.
But I will establish my covenant with you.
So he's gonna make a covenant with us through Noah.
And you shall enter the ark.
Mm-hmm.
You, your sons, your wife, and your sons' wives with you, and from all that lives of all flesh, 2 of each shall you bring into the ark.
Bring that closer to your mouth.
To keep alive with you, they shall be made male and female,
So male and female.
according to its kind, and from each thing that creeps on the ground according to its kind, 2 of each come to you to keep alive. And as for you, to take yourself of every food that is
7 animals are the ones that are of the animals that are unclean. But then of the, let's say, a different kind of sheep, there were 7 male sheep. And over the years, of course, these different animals would start. Not saying you had every single species on the planet Earth, every single genus and species and subfamily of these animals on the certain environment, okay, and just certain changes. Just like if 2 of you go into a place where there's less sunlight, your children may start to get lighter, they may not, but it's gonna take a while, maybe, and they still have dark brown. The animals started to change, wolf-like creatures started to change, all right, started to change. I'm not gonna say the old models would have gotten eradicated, especially in the natural environment, with the level of whatever creature can beat and get the food faster. These other weaker forms of these animals, smaller and bigger, all right, different kinds of body frame. Go ahead, read.
Noah did according to everything Yahweh commanded him, so he did.
Go ahead.
And all your household for
Noah. So you should stay part of your father's household. Not just say, well, I'm going to go in. What country is like that? See, the Most High is about family. He's about unity. what company is like, what, not even what country, what company is like that? How to work for the company. We're going to show you how to do your job, show you all the equipment, and then when you're 18 or 5 years from now, you can leave and go do something else somewhere else. Does that make sense? So how does it make sense in a domestic situation? Is that what Abraham did? Is that what Isaac did? Is that what Jacob did? They didn't do that. His brother was trying to murder him. So when Isaac raised him, he left when his brother was trying to murder him. But he kept his family structure intact. And he still came back. And he didn't leave as the prodigal son. They all were one family unit. And that family unit became, so unclean animals were by twos, 2 boys, 2 girls. Clean animals were by 7. So understand that. Unclean animals meaning you can't eat these animals. Not unclean because they're dirty animals, but unclean because it's unclean for your body to consume it. Tama'ah. Okay?
Of the birds of the heavens.
All the birds, go ahead.
7 pairs, male and female.
So all the birds, whether they were clean or unclean, were 7. 7, go ahead.
To keep seed alive upon the face of all the earth.
Meaning what? How do birds keep the seed alive? Because they eat the different food, they eat the different fruits and different vegetables and stuff like that. And then when a bird is flying in the air, sometimes he releases the waste from his body. Everybody understand what that means? Okay. He releases the waste. All right? He goes number 2. And in his number 2, you have those little animal seeds that didn't get digested in his system. So the seeds drop on the ground. And then when the seeds drop on the ground, that plant grows in that area also. Everybody understand that? Okay. That's why I said we need as many birds as possible, because they became the plant spreaders. Because they would eat the plants and eat the seeds, and then they would go elsewhere, and those seeds would be in their poop. And then somebody would find it, like, man, look at all these seeds of plants. Let me take this. And man would take it and say, man, let me grow this over here in my garden. Let me take these seeds and grow this over here. And everybody, people started to like it. Oh, man, you know what? I'm going to grow this in a whole big area so I can give it to more people. And then somebody from that place, that what he had grown, somebody said, man, I'm going to take it over to my country, and I'm going to grow this over here. That's what happened with corn. That's what happened with the potato. That's what happened with carrots. With every food happened like that. The potatoes, the cassava, the sweet potato, the white potatoes, all right? All of those things come from the tribe of Asher in South America. Corn came from the tribe of Zebulon here in Central America. And they took all these foods and they started to grow it into different areas. And they made business out of it. Everybody understand that? So that's how it spread around the earth. So the Most High used the birds to do that. All right, go ahead.
For in 7 more days' time I will send rain upon the earth 40 days and 40 nights, and I will blot out all existence that I have made from upon the face of the earth.
So from the face of the earth, all right, not the waters. The things in the waters were okay. Go ahead.
And Noah did according to everything that Hashem Yahweh had commanded him. Noah was 600 years old when the flood was water upon the earth. Noah with his...
Understand this too. Enoch died before Noah was born. So there's no way that nobody went to look for Enoch to ask him about Noah being born with white hair, looking like an angel, is what the book of Enoch says. Noah was not born white, with white hair or blonde hair, shining like an angel. All right, Noah was born as a brown-skinned man. We don't know what kind of texture of hair he had, but he wasn't an albino, and he wasn't. What do we say? Now we see that with Noah and this what the Most High is about to do with him. Noah became the father of all. Well, Noah is the father of all of the living creatures that's on the planet Earth right now. All right, but Enoch was dead when the Most High had Noah born. He was dead. So there's no way that Noah and Enoch ever saw each other. Because Enoch, once the Most High took him, he never came back. So the only way the book of Enoch works is if the Most High took Enoch, and then he was gone for a little while, and then Noah was born, and Enoch came back to the earth and did another mission. And that never happened. Because the book of Enoch says that when Lamech, right, it was Lamech or Methuselah, went to look for Enoch, that he went to the northern part of the earth. Like Noah wasn't nowhere. I mean, like Enoch was still on the earth. That's why the book of Enoch is a lie. So you can't go in the book of Enoch and it's a whole bunch of lies in there, talking about 200-something foot tall giants having children with women that's tops, average 5, 6, maybe 6 tops.
Pushing it.
You see? And then having babies with them. That's why I said the book of Enoch is a lie. So you can't go in there and be like, okay, we're going to overlook all the lies in the book of Enoch. And then we're going to go where it talks about the moon, and we're going to say that's true, and we're going to follow that. Why would we do that? Why would I go into the Quran and pick out what the Quran says about the calendar and then start following the Quran with the calendar and then say it's a historical document? Quran is not what we're supposed to use for the calendar. The book of Enoch is not what we're supposed to use about the calendar, for the calendar. We're supposed to use the Bible, the Torah. So anybody using the book of Enoch for the calendar is following lies. Not to mention idolatry, because it teaches idolatry. It teaches idolatry, all right? It teaches to focus on other people in nature as opposed to praising Yahweh for the cycles that he created. And it has so many lies in that book of Enoch. You read in Genesis, it says, Cain's descendant, so-and-so, Tubal Cain did X, Y, Z. You go to the book of Enoch and say, oh no, a special fallen angel, he taught people how to do X, Y, Z. You see that? So, you got to be careful with that book of Enoch. Enoch was dead when Noah was born. Let's put it like that. Dead when Noah was born. So he could not have gone, nobody could have gone and looked for him and brought him back and got no advice. Most High didn't bring Noah back to the earth. He let him stay with him. It says the Most High took him. Okay?
Noah with his sons, his wife, and his sons' wives with him went into the ark because of the waters of the flood, of the clean animal, of the animal that is not clean on the ground. 2 by 2 they came to Noah into the ark, male and female, as Yahweh had commanded Noah. And it came to pass after the 7-day period that the waters of the flood were upon the earth. And in the 600th year of Noah's life, in the 2nd month, on the 7th day of the month, on that day all the fountains of the great deeps burst forth, and the windows of the heavens were opened.
You said the 7th day or 17th?
17th.
Okay. All right, so on month number 2, day 17, that's when the waters began to rain. Go ahead.
And the that very day, Noah came with Shem, Ham, and Japheth, Noah's sons, with Noah's wife and the 3 wives of his sons, with them into the ark, and they and every beast after its kind, thing that creepeth up on the earth after its kind, and every bird after its kind, and every bird of any kind of wing. They came to Noah into the ark, 2 by 2 of all flesh, in which there was a breath of life. Thus they that came male and female of all flesh, as Yahweh had commanded him, and Hashem Yahweh, and raised the ark so that it was lifted above the earth. The water strengthened and increased greatly upon the earth, and the ark drifted.
Have brought the water from the bottom and from the top, and the water covered the whole earth. And you can find this in ancient stories also, and in ancient Israelite stories. Like you find stories about the flood in the Epic of Gilgamesh, all right, which is another Babylonian mythological book, all right? So you find different stories around the earth, you know, about different types of floods and different things that happen that line up with the Bible. Not that the Bible needs to be validated, but they have a common source that they come from. They have the same origin, which was Noah's 3 sons. And in those sons, the history was retained. And they repeated the history, and they took the things that happened before the flood, and they made these things into mythologies. They made these Noah, Ham, and Japheth, and Shem, and Adam, and Cain, and Abel, and Eve, and Noah's wife. They made these people into gods and goddesses. They made Ham a god, all right? Nimrod was worshipped as a god. So they took all these different stories, the history of what happened, and they embellished it. They put their own spin on it. And that's why you see so many things in common with Israelite history and the records of the other nations. Because we all come from the same source. We all came from Noah. And we're dealing with the Middle East and, all right, Syria and the land of Israel and Jordan, that area. We're not down into Africa yet, okay? The civilizations building up started in Mesopotamia, around southern Iraq, Basra area, going all the way up into the Baghdad area between the Tigris and Euphrates rivers, and then going up to the mouth of the Euphrates, all right, over by Syria area. So that's where everything started. And then from that location, it went into Africa. It went into Europe. It went deeper into Asia. Okay? So that's how everything started. So that's why you see when Babylon talks about, you know, they had the same source of what happened, and then they started to put their own changes into it, and those changes became religions, and the religions are what started to jack us up. Okay, the religions, because the religion was based on worshiping gods other than Yahweh. You see, it was based on not serving Yahweh, but worshiping these men who had been transformed by their own stories into different gods. Okay, so in the Enuma Elish, it talks about the creation. And then when you go into, again, the Gilgamesh epic, it talks about the flood. It's the same type of thing. Boats and birds and worshiping and punishment and reasons for the flood. It has the same outline. So that's why when you see something in ancient Egypt, so they got that from the Bible. Now some of these things have already been around, but Yahweh brought everything together as laws under Moses. Okay. Go ahead.
All the high mountains which are under the entire heavens were covered. 15 cubits upward did all the waters strengthen, and the mountains were covered.
How do we know this happened? Because they find seashells and sea creature fossils and other kinds of fossils of creatures high up on the mountain tops, showing that there was a displacement of the water, and in some kind of way, these sea creatures got all the way to the tops of the mountains. Suddenly. Not like a gradual, but suddenly. Suddenly happened, showing how the waters brought the creatures, and the creatures were up in those areas, and some of them died, because they were still dying. You know, they were still dying. They didn't just stop dying in the waters because the flood came. They still died, but the Most High didn't say, I'm going to kill the sea life also. Go ahead.
And all flesh that moves upon the earth expired, among the birds, the animals, the beasts, and all the creeping things that creep upon the earth, and all mankind.
Notice it says that there was a man, cattle, creeping thing, fowl of heaven. All right. Notice it doesn't say anything about the sea creatures and anything that wasn't in the ark died. Go ahead.
On dry land died, and he blotted out all existence that was upon the face of the ground, from man to animals to creeping things, and to the birds of the heavens, and they were blotted out from the earth. Only Noah survived, and those with him in the ark, and the water strengthened on the earth 150 days. Kashua Bar Hawa,
Kashua Bar Yahweh,
Nashal Nashmai,
Nashal Nashemai.
all Yahweh said,
All that Yahweh said,
what we doing here?
what we doing here?
All right, next chapter 8, maybe 8 and 9. So we're going to try to make this quick too, so give much understanding, compact.
Yeah, but like I tell you, how about Shem Yahushua?
All right, Brother Ashraf, chapter 8.
I remembered Noah and all the beasts and the animals that were with him in the ark. Now High caused the Spirit to pass over the earth, and the waters subsided. The fountains of the deep and the windows of the heavens were closed.
So Most High made a spirit pass over the earth, all right, to do his work on the waters. All right. Now remember it's Chachma, wisdom, that's guiding the boat. Everybody knows that, right? It's Chachma that's guiding that boat. It ain't just moving, it's not just moving on its own. It's Chachma that's making sure that everything goes good with the boat. All right. Keep reading. I'm gonna get the scripture.
And the rain from the heavens was restrained. The waters then receded from upon the earth, receding continuously, and the waters diminished day of month upon the mountain of Ararat. The waters were continuously diminishing until the 10th month. In the 10th month, on the first month of the tops, on the first of the month, the tops of the mountains became visible. And it came to pass at the end of 40 days that Noah opened the window of the ark which he had made. He sent out the raven, and it kept going and returning it until the waters dried from upon the earth. Then he sent out the dove from him to see whether the waters had subsided from the face of the ground. But the dove could not find a resting place for the sole of its foot, and it returned to him in the ark, for water was upon the surface of all the earth.
So this is day 11, month 11. He sent the raven out. All right. They waited a few days, and then in month 11 and day 19, he sent the raven out. And that's when the raven brought the olive leaf back. All right, go ahead.
So he put forth his hand and took it and brought it to him into the ark.
Mm-hmm.
He waited again another 7 days, and again sent out the dove from the ark. And the dove came back to him in the evening, and behold, an olive leaf it had plucked with its bill.
So this is month 11. This is month 11. Month 11, day 19, and he sent the dove out. The raven got sent out on month 10, month 11, day 10. All right. And then he sent the dove out the second time on month 11, day 19. Go ahead.
And Noah knew that the waters had subsided from upon the earth. Then he waited again.
So the water didn't return. Go ahead.
Then he waited again another 7 days, and sent the dove forth, and it did not return to him again.
Mm-hmm.
And it came to pass in the 601st year, in the first month, on the first of the month, the waters dried from upon the earth. Noah removed the covering of the ark, and looked, and behold, the surface of the ground had dried.
So month 12, day 17, all the water was receded. All right. Month 1, day 1, he took the covering, he opened everything up. Right? That part again? Is that verse 13? What did it say?
And it came to pass in the 601st year, in the first month, on the first of the month, the waters dried from upon the earth. Noah removed the covering of the ark, and looked, and behold, the surface of the ground had dried.
Go ahead.
And in the second month, on the 27th day of the month, the earth was fully dry.
Now the earth was fully dry, meaning there's no more muddy swamps, because that soil was super wet, right? Let me explain it like this. There's no new water on the earth. All the water here is old from creation. There's no new air. It just purifies and cleanses itself. Everybody understand that? So everything just keeps going in a big cycle. It talks about that in the book of Ecclesiastes. So the waters are the same waters from the flood that you're drinking. That's coming down the lake, evaporates back up, becomes a cloud. Right then it goes into someplace else and pours down. Okay. Well, let me read this thing about the ark too. Wisdom of Solomon, chapter 10. Wisdom of Solomon, chapter 10, and verse 3 and 4. But when the unrighteous went away from her in his anger, he perished also in the fury wherewith he murdered his brother. Talking about Cain. For whose cause, because Cain introduced that level of wickedness to the world, for whose cause the earth being drowned with a flood, wisdom again preserved it. So wisdom preserved the world and directed the course of the righteous in a piece of wood of small value. See that? Wisdom of Solomon, chapter 10, verse 4. Chapter 10, verse 4 shows you how it was Chachma, wisdom, that was directing the ark. Anybody understand that now?
Good.
So wisdom is a major player that's really underestimated, underrated, and underappreciated and underutilized. She's the gateway to get Yahweh's attention, to have your prayers answered when you're walking in wisdom. All these things you see happening in the scriptures with Adam, with Noah, all right, with Esau and Jacob, okay, dealing with Lot, dealing with Joseph. Wisdom was there protecting and guiding the safety of our forefathers. It didn't just happen, but wisdom was saying, hey, do this, sending spirits out to do different things. Okay?
And the high spoke to Noah, saying, Go forth from the ark, you and your wife, your sons and your sons' wives with you, every living being that is with you, of all flesh, of birds, of animals, and all creeping things that move on the earth. Order them out with you, and let them teem on the earth, and be fruitful, his wife and his sons' wives with him, every living being, every creeping thing.
What did he do?
And offered burnt offerings.
So Noah killed the animals and gave them as sacrifices to Yahweh. This is what we have written in the scriptures. So there wasn't just fruits and vegetables. The Most High wanted blood. And we gave him the blood of these animals that he created to serve the purposes that he wants them to serve. So Noah killed.
Yahweh smelled the pleasing aroma.
So he smelled, so that meat cooking was pleasing to Yahweh. Go ahead.
And Yahweh said in his heart, I will not continue to curse again at the ground because of man.
That's Yahweh. Remember that curse from Genesis 3:17? When Yahweh told Adam, he said, cursed is the ground for your sake. So thorns and thistles was going to come forth out the ground. Even if you planted food, you got to go through the thorns and thistles to get it. That's Genesis chapter 3, verse 17 and 18. But the Most High lifted that curse. So after the flood, the Most High didn't say, I'm going to go back to doing everything the way it was before the flood. After the flood, and one of the things that we see is now we killed the animals. We killed the animals in Genesis with Cain and Abel. But then Noah got off the ark again, and he's killing the animals again as a sacrifice to Yahweh. But then as we go forward, we're going to see that Yahweh told Noah, the meat from these animals, you can eat it. You can eat the meat, man. So you see, that's something that the Most High adjusted also. That he gave Noah the direct authority and right to eat the meat of the animals. But he can't eat a lot of it because a lot of the meat will make you sick. We're going to get into that once we read that portion. Keep going.
Since the imagery of man's heart is evil from his youth.
So the imagination, what they think about, is evil from the time the Most High made man and from the time that man is a child. Quran.
Nor will I again continue to smite every living being as I have done continuously all the days of the earth, seed time and harvest, cold and heat, summer and winter, day and night shall not cease.
So those are the seasons that we have. We have seed time and harvest. All right. One is taking place going into the first month and ending on the 7th month, for the most part speaking. All right. Seed time, cold and heat, summer and winter. So we came up with the words spring and fall. Spring is a part of summer. Fall is a part of winter. but these are transition times. And a lot of people are waiting, dealing with the equinox, because these books they read talked about the equinox, not realizing that waiting for the earth to be tilted and recognizing the equinox, that's the Babylonian custom of worshiping the false goddess. The false goddess. This matter of fact, the sister of Tammuz, Dumuzi. Dumuzi and Tammuz is the same fake entity that they worship as a god. So you look up Tammuz, look up Dumuzi, look up his sister. All right, Gashtina, I think is her name. But just look it up, who is Tammuz's sister. And she started raining on the earth at the spring equinox. And after her reign began at the spring equinox, she was also the goddess of the earth, the soil of the planet Earth. And when the equinox happens, the earth is back, the earth stops tilting, it goes up, and it's closer to the sun, and it gets hotter. So they would worship and have a special ceremony. What's it called? Akiru? The ceremony they had for the springtime. It was like Aikido. Was it Akiro? Akiro? It was like, it sounded like Aikido, but it's not Aikido. It's like Akiru. So they had a special ceremony for the spring equinox. And after they had their little spring equinox ceremony, the first crescent moon after that, they said, okay, now we can begin a new year. Because the gods have all returned. The goddess of the soil, the goddess of the equinox, they've all returned now so we can worship them. Sin, the god of the crescent moon, whose name was Sin, S-I-N. Another name for him is Nana, which is N-A-N-N-A. Look it up, you don't believe me. So you're doing the equinox and the crescent moon and all that for your calendar. You worshiping false gods of the pagans. You engaging inadvertently in idolatry. And I got a short publication that I put together that I'm going to be sharing with y'all pretty soon that goes into just the basic history about this. Not even from a biblical, preaching viewpoint, but just showing the historical data about what you're really doing. And a sad part about it is that you find no mention of observing an equinox for any purpose, let alone for the purpose of beginning a year, anywhere in the whole scriptures. You got to go to these other books to see that.
Also,
That don't take into account what the scriptures already have said. The scriptures already tell you how to configure the new year. If you study the Torah consistently, you'll see it. Just in and out, man. He's about to say something, then he goes and come back.
The fall equinox. They do also the fall equinox. Same premise.
So all these different gods that y'all worshiping, man, it's like, gods have returned. The old demons have returned. Old demons have returned. If you can't see it, you don't have spiritual eyes. Because the stuff that's doing now is not what we learned from Yaquab or from Masha. I'm not talking about Arya, because Arya wasn't perfect, but he did the best with the resources that he had.
At the time.
There was no internet.
Right.
There's no Facebook. There was no Google. It was books in library, and you're surrounded by so-called white Jews. But nobody's going to think automatically, well, they doing everything the wrong. They doing this the wrong way. Because they follow Hillel's calendar, of which you find no historical evidence or proof that Hillel put that calendar together. You don't find that written nowhere in history. So that could be a mythology also, just to give credence to something. But anyway, the observation of the equinox and the crescent moon goes straight back to Babylon. Let me tell you something else. The observation of the lunar Sabbath goes back to ancient Babylon. And the information is out there. Just research the Babylonian calendar. When the crescent moon came, 14th day, they worshiped another god. 21st and 28th day, they kept worshiping these other gods. They did it every year. Every month, they did it. They worshiped at the waning crescent, which is the crescent getting brighter, and then at the waxing moon, when the light gets smaller from the moon. So all these things are idolatry and paganism. So the Most High Yahweh, he says the seed time and harvest, winter and summer and winter, he says day and night shall not cease. He says cold and heat. So those are the things that we have to be aware of. Remember from Genesis 1:1, what did we establish? That Yahweh was a power of polarity, and he dealt with things in opposites and balance. That's why it says what? Seed time, you put the seed in. Harvest time, you take it out the ground once it grows into the crop. Cold and heat. Summer and winter, opposites. Day and night. So those things will not cease. All right, those things will not cease as long as we have a planet Earth. Before Egypt, before Upper Egypt became a power or an empire over in Sudan. Before that, they said, no, the seed time is made possible because of Tammuz's sister. And the sun shining down on us is due to Shamash. And the harvest is going to be due to, let's worship Tamuzi. So they had all these different gods that they assigned. And now here we are, 2021, not knowing the history of where these books came from or why it was so important for people to all of a sudden start observing a crescent. You think Yahweh is getting any type of glory from you waiting for to see what? Be not dismayed at the signs of heaven. So you're waiting to see a sign from heaven. And you're saying, well, we got to see it with our eyes. If we don't see it, we can't start the month. So you're literally dismayed at the signs of heaven. Everybody understand that? You're literally dismayed at the signs of heaven. All right, so you don't know that these things don't come from us. So it's not your fault. But when we tell you from the Masharai Yasha Allah Office of Calendar, and you want to still follow what your people are saying to you who aren't studied, who aren't amateur in these different areas of topic, who have written no papers on the subject whatsoever. We've written actual data, historical reference, bibliographic papers on these subjects based on the Bible and based on science. Based on the Bible and based on science. So the Most High set everything up to be balanced and in polarity. So when you do that crescent moon, you worshiping Satan. When you follow the equinox and to begin your new year, you worshiping Satan. When you're doing that lunar Sabbath, and you every 7 days, you worshiping Satan. Why do I say that? Because all of this goes back to how the pagans would worship their gods. So how is Yahweh getting any glory? You got Edomites that introduced, let's not forget that. It was white, pale-skinned Edomite Gentiles that introduced all of these books to us. Even gave it to the Ethiopians. The Ethiopians didn't keep that copy. They translated from the Syriac Edomite / Syrian controlled church And they put it into Ethiopian language called Ge'ez, G-E''EZ. Look it up. So these things aren't even Israelite records. And the white man has it, so-called Jew has it, he uses it. But it contradicts, these books contradict the Bible. So don't go in the book of Enoch, book of Jubilees, whatever, and say, well, I'm going to use this calendar, because what was we doing thousands of years before that? Every civilization on the planet Earth was observing the beginning of the month from the black moon. And the waxing moon was only called a waxing moon. It wasn't relevant to any timekeeping or any firm movements of counting. It was just another day. All right, so the Most High kept these things in balance, Amaria. He kept everything in balance, man. So when he kept these things in balance, Amaria, we see what he did. But the crescent moon is what we need to be doing. We need to worship this God over here at the crescent moon. And then you had the other goddess, which is called Inanna, which was called the goddess of the moon, which became known as Ishtar, Ashtaroth in the Bible, Diana, Semiramis, okay, Isis. That's who she is. And she's still worshipped to this day. And the crescent moon morphed into her symbol also. And that's why you go into Palmyra, you go into the land where the Nabateans were, where the children of Ishmael were, you'll see a female goddess with the lion as her symbol, with a crescent moon, where the lion is her animal, and the crescent moon being used to represent her. And she's supposed to be the daughter, all right? She's supposed to be the daughter of Sin. All right, so she kind of morphed into a moon goddess. The moon was initially worshipped as a male, and then it became worshipped as the male and a female under two different types of gods. So anyway, this is all based on what we see right here, because people didn't want to pray and give credit to Yahweh for the hot, the cold, for the summer and the winter, and for the seed time and the harvest. So they started worshiping different demons and different spirits. Okay, all right, go ahead. You gotta hurry up. All that Yahweh said. What we doing here? I keep reading.
Allah blessed Noah and his sons, and he said to them, be fruitful and multiply.
So have children. So Noah and his son had to have children. I mean, his sons are the ones that had children. Noah had 3 sons. Go ahead.
And fill the land. The fear of you and the dread of you shall be upon every beast of the earth.
So every creature is going to fear human beings, especially Noah and his sons. Go ahead.
And upon every bird of the heavens.
And
everything that moves in your hand they are given.
So the Most High gave them in his hand. What are you going to do with the fish? Train them? He going to train the fish to bring him the algae so he can eat them? And make sea cucumber burgers? What the Most High gave him the fish in his hand for? To do what? To eat. To use. Read.
Every moving thing that lives shall be food for you.
Which is the clean animals. Every moving thing shall be food for you. Go ahead.
Like the green herbage I have given you.
Just like the green things I have given you. Go ahead.
The flesh with its soul, its body, its blood, you shall not eat.
So the flesh with the life of it, with the blood, you can't eat. So you can't eat the blood. So let me show this. So the Most High never said don't eat meat. The Most High said don't eat a lot of meat. Through Chakma, Ecclesiasticus chapter 37. And I'll read I'll go right to it, verse 28. Actually, I'll go right to verse 29. It says, be not greedy, be not insatiable in any dainty thing. So don't give yourself over to anything that you like a lot. That's a sweet treat for you. Don't indulge. All right? And be not greedy upon meats. So it says, don't be greedy upon meats. So notice the Most High never told you don't be greedy. He never said don't be greedy at salad. Don't be greedy at fruits. Don't be greedy at beans. He says don't be greedy at meats. All right? He says, for excess of meats bringeth sickness. So the Most High said, hey, you can eat the meat, but we had enough sense back then not to eat a lot of meat. We didn't eat it in big plates. All right, clogging our system up. The blood can't circulate through. So now you gotta take a pill. Now your heart is messing up. Now your fat is messing up in your body. Everything, liver is messing up. Your pancreas is messing up. Okay, your kidneys are messing up. Your joints are messing up. Your lymphatic system is messing up. Your lymph nodes are messing up. Okay, your glands are out of whack, and your hormones are messing up. Why? Because you're eating excess of this thing that's not meant to be eaten in excess. So the Most High tells us through wisdom, Ecclesiastes 37, verse 29, be not insatiable in any dainty thing, nor too greedy upon meats. Okay? For excess of meats bringeth sickness, and surfeiting, which is overindulging, will turn into choler. Which means what? Choler. I mean, now you got an attitude problem. You're always angry. You always look depressed and look sad about stuff. Why? Because you ain't eating right. Because your organs and your hormones is not working right. Your dopamine is out of whack. Your endorphins ain't releasing right. Why? Because your body is overworking itself for you to stay alive. All right. Verse 31. By surfeiting, which is excess, many have perished. See, by eating too much meat, many have perished. But he that taketh heed, meaning he that doesn't eat a lot of meat, all right, prolongeth his life. Now, even in countries where they increase their intake of meat, they also increase their intake of vegetables, and it smooths everything out. But in America, in Mexico, we don't eat a lot of vegetables. We don't eat a whole lot of vegetables. Not as big as the plate of meat we're gonna have. And if you do got vegetables on there, you might have a little bit of green. Let's look at the average. Let's look at typical. If you had a typical soul food diet, what's it gonna be? It's gonna be sweet potatoes. It's gonna be some greens. It's gonna be some macaroni and cheese. All right, and it's gonna be some baked chicken, or some baked turkey, or some ham. All right, and then you're gonna have maybe you're gonna have some stuffing on there. But look at all these things. See, the stuffing you're eating is coming from refined, stripped down flour. Okay? The macaroni and cheese is coming from refined, stripped down. Have on that plate is probably gonna be the collard greens, even with the pig in them. Because that's the only thing you're gonna put in your body that you ain't, well, some people do put a whole bunch of sugar on their greens too. But the chlorophyll and the fiber, the microscopic nutrients inside the greens are gonna go in and actually clean your blood out. Now the sweet potato is actually very good for you also, better than the white potato. The chicken is gonna be okay for you. You can eat chicken, you can eat beef, you can eat lamb, you can eat goat, but it has to be balanced out because it's putting stuff in your system that needs to come out. That's gonna make sure that the bad stuff comes out. Oh, you need protein, protein, protein. That's everybody. I need protein, I need protein, I need protein. I got to get some protein. Well, if you got a liver problem, protein is your enemy. Protein. And if you ain't balancing that protein out, it's going to destroy your liver. And that's why you got to put something in there with the protein that's going to flush out about eating. I just know what I see and what I can read that's true based on studies and statistics, based on following people that have done it and looking at what they did, and based on starting from zero in both groups of people. Okay? So there's nothing wrong with meats, but you have to eat fruits and vegetables. You gotta eat fruits and vegetables. The first thing the Most High created that you can put into your body was what? Let's remember Genesis. The first thing Yahweh created that you can put into your body as a food, let me say, all right, was what? Water. Liquid. Right?
Okay.
It was water. So, now with the water, what's the next major thing that we got? We got the soil. So now you see that you need to be eating stuff that has minerals in them, that has fruits and vegetables, right? Fruits and vegetables. Everybody hear me?
Yeah.
Fruits and vegetables, nutrients. Well, I kind of skipped a little bit, but make sure you got nutrient-rich foods. Because all the fruits and the vegetables, the minerals and the vitamins, where are they getting that stuff from? Getting it from the dirt. And then it's activating things within their specific DNA that can help create new things or help create bigger portions of things that you need in your body. So then when Yahweh made the water, and now we got the soil, okay, what happens after that? All right. The Most High said, I got the earth, I got the waters. Now I'm gonna bring forth what? Grass. Bring forth green things. All right. How much salad are you eating? How much collard greens? How much spinach? And yeah, people say, oh, spinach to this and this. It may be, but what's your diet? No food that the Most High created in nature is good, is bad for you if you're eating it the right way and if your diet is the right type of diet that's healthy for your body. And a lot of times we want to pop a pill, or we want to say, I can't eat this food. But then you're sitting there eating chips and cookies and ho-hos and donuts and cake and drinking sodas, all the other junk that's in it. When you go back to I'm doing some research and studies on these things now, but when you go into a rich diet, a diet that's rich in your fruits and your vegetables, you shouldn't have any restrictions on what you can and can't eat. Your body should not be rejecting what's good for you. You're looking at the wrong thing if your body is doing that. And all these people telling you to take these herbs and this and that and the other, everything can be corrected by the proper medicinal diet. Like Paul tells us, he that is weak eateth herbs. So now we got the herbs that was created next. The herbs, the Most High said the herbs, right? The herbs yielding seed after it, and tree bearing fruit. Right? So the herb yielding seed, so the low growing stuff, and then the tree bearing fruit. And then you got the tubers. Tubers is things that grow under the ground, like tomatoes and sweet, right? Cassava. It's a root that you're eating. So these things can be eaten, but they're eating the bottom part of the earth, the root of the earth. And these things are nutrient dense also, some of them nutrient dense. Okay, so after that, what did the Most High do? After that, the Most High said, let me bring forth stuff from the waters. But everybody can't eat, you can't eat fish. Believe it or not, fish puts certain kinds of acids in your body that's not good for your body. But the good thing is that when you got vegetables and you got fruits and then you got certain like legumes, beans and stuff, it counteracts all that bad stuff you putting in your system. All right? So eat the life that you want, all right? Made the land food, meaning like the goats and the sheep and the cows and the antelopes and the buffaloes or buffalo. But how you put these things in your body is going to be determining, your level of health or sickness. Your level of health or sickness is going to be determined by these foods and how you put them in your body. You shouldn't eat chicken. You can eat chicken, fish, anything. But you have to eat it in a way that if it has anything that's going to not be good for your body, you have to offset that. Everybody understand what I'm saying? It's almost like people say, I'm gonna give you a good, I'm gonna use myself personally. We found out that, if you eat like this particular food right here, processed foods, it has nitrates in it. They put nitrates in it. But to offset the nitrates, you can just drink some orange juice, like a kafta or kebab or something, and just eat that. You don't have the nitrates. You don't have the nitrates anymore. So the point I'm making is, going back to chapter 9, is that the Most High gave us meat to eat. But he also told us in Ecclesiasticus that if you eat a lot of meat, and you're greedy at the meat, it's gonna make you sick. Okay? It's gonna make you sick and it's gonna kill you. All right? It's gonna kill you. So look at what we eat in the Western Hemisphere and look at what they eat in India and in China. They eat a lot of garbage in China, in Hong Kong, but they have a long life. They're healthy. Why? Because of the vegetable, because of the bean, because of the broth, all right? Because of the fruit intake. They're healthy. Even eating an unkosher diet, medically, they're still healthy. So this is part of our spiritual health also. Every part of our life should be regulated and reviewed. Regulated if necessary and reviewed by wisdom, by the scriptures. Why? Because it's wisdom that made us be able to survive in that ark. Okay? So you can't be greedy upon the meats. You got to cut back on your meats or increase. You got to eat a gang of vegetables and fruits. Look at the proportions now. Now you get as much beans and vegetables and that you want, salads that you want. And if you want to strip everything down and just look at your body, you got to just strip everything away and just eat salad and green, just eat greens. That's what Paul means when he said, "He that is weak, eateth the herbs." Meaning when you're weak, you need to give your body, a shock health treatment sometimes. Because you're not going to get sick just by eating, cabbage, nutrient-rich foods that grow on the earth, mustard and kale and collard, chives, cilantro, parsley, okay, cucumbers. You're not going to get sick eating with the skin on, all right? You're not going to get sick eating these foods, okay? So do yourself a favor. If you feel sick, you got an ailment, strip everything away, and eat the herbs. And then you'll feel a lot better. When I say the herbs, I mean eat the green things. Then once you eat the green things, you can come back and say, well, now I'm going to introduce, more carrots. I'm going to introduce more tomatoes. Because that green stuff can go in there and flush out your gut, your intestines. Now your heart is going to be working better. Your liver is going to be working better. Your kidneys are going to be working better. Your pancreas can be working better. And then your body can start processing insulin again. The acid will leave out of your kidneys. The clogged arteries will be cleared up. If you love yourself, if your body is the temple, you have to clean your temple. You smell good. Victoria's Secrets all the time. But then, how's your poop smell? How does it feel when you go to the bathroom? Are you constipated? How often do you go have bowel movements? Are you sitting there for 30 minutes pushing and straining, or you just, bam, go in there, do your business, get up, you done? All right? Are you rested when you wake up? Or are you falling asleep all day? You feel sluggish and tired all day. What are your organs doing while you're sleeping? You see? So your inside got to be purged also. Just like your outside is cleansed every day. You brush your teeth, you wash your face, but all this right here, all this extra right here, I got some too. That's not good for, it's hurting our bodies. Because we wasn't designed to carry stuff, to carry food that we ate. So first you cut the oils and the fats out. And believe me, some of the meats we eat do turn into fats and oils, and they stay in the bloodstream. So that's why I say, first you gotta clean out your bloodstream. And if you're younger, and if you eat fairly good, you gotta start eating better, so you'll stay that way. Go ahead, keep reading.
Genesis chapter 9, verse 5.
Uh-huh.
However, your blood, which belongs to your souls, I will demand.
So if you kill or murder somebody, the Most High said you're supposed to die now. Go ahead.
Of every beast will I demand it, but of every man that for his brother I will demand the soul of man. Whoever sheds the blood of man, by man shall his blood be shed. For in the image of High he made man, and you.
So if an animal kills a person, or a person kills another person, the Most High going to demand the blood. That's what he's saying in verse 8. So at the hand, so that beast got to pay back if he kills a person. So if a dog kills a person, if a dog attacks a person, it's supposed to be killed. Okay?
And you.
If it's attacked, I'm not talking about dog defending you. I ain't talking about that. I'm talking about your dog just go out, just bite a little kid, or somebody just walking down the street minding their business. That dog's supposed to be killed. Go ahead.
Be fruitful and multiply.
So again, have children, build your family. Go ahead.
Teem on the earth and multiply.
Put it to your mouth a little closer.
And Elohai said to Noah
Uh-huh.
and to his sons, saying, and as for me, behold, I establish my covenant with you and with your offspring after you, and with every living being that is with you,
Right.
with the birds, with the animals, with every beast of the land,
So establish the covenant. That's where the rainbow comes in at. Go ahead.
of all that departed the ark,
Uh-huh.
to every beast of the land, and I will confirm my covenant with you. Never
So we got a common covenant with the animals. What's the covenant? Read.
Never again shall all flesh be cut off by the waters of the flood.
I'm not going to destroy the world by flood anymore. Go ahead.
And never again shall there be a flood to destroy the earth.
I'm not going to destroy the earth with a flood no more. Go ahead.
And Elohai said, this is the sign of the covenant that I give between me and you, and every living being that is with you, to generations forever.
So here's the proof. Here's the reminder of the covenant. Go ahead.
I have set my rainbow in the cloud, and it shall be a sign of the covenant between me and the earth.
So this is the token. This is the sign. All right. I said what? My bow. Go ahead.
in the cloud,
Uh-huh.
and it shall be a sign of the covenant between me and the earth.
That's where you get the rainbow. It's a token of the covenant that Yahweh made that he's not going to destroy the earth anymore. Go ahead.
And it shall happen when I place a cloud over the earth, and the bow shall be seen, and the bow will be seen in the cloud.
So when I place, so rainbows come from special clouds that Yahweh himself had placed on the earth. So when he directly says, I'm going to do this, that's when you see the rainbow. So the rainbow is a token, a sign of Yahweh's presence near where where you can see it at, as well as that he's not going to destroy the earth no more with water. So you see a rainbow, always Yahweh's hand was here. Yahweh was here. Yahweh put this cloud here with the rainbow. Go ahead.
I will remember my covenant between me and you and every living thing among all flesh, and the water shall never again become a flood to destroy all flesh. And the bow shall be in the cloud, and I will look upon it to remember the everlasting covenant between Elohim and every living being among all flesh that is on the earth. And Elohim said to Noah, this is the sign of the covenant that I have confirmed between me and all flesh that is on the earth. The sons of Noah who came out of the ark were Shem, Ham, and Japheth. Ham being the father of Canaan. These
Canaan settled the eastern Mediterranean area as well as the northern Mediterranean area because the Hittites were in parts of Turkey also. Go ahead.
These three were the sons of Noah, and from these the whole world was spread out. Noah, the man of the earth, debased himself and planted a vineyard. He drank of the wine and became drunk, and he uncovered himself within his tent.
So Noah overindulged in the alcohol. Go ahead.
And told his two brothers outside.
And he went and told his brothers. He didn't cover his father's nakedness. He went and told the people, our father is naked. Go ahead.
And Shem and Japheth took a garment.
So Shem and Japheth are the ones that took a garment to cover their father's nakedness. Ham went around telling that, oh, he's naked. Look at him. Or he's naked. Hey, Abba is naked over here. But the other brother said, man, we got to cover him up. Go ahead.
Laid it upon both their shoulders, and they walked backwards and covered their father's nakedness. Their faces were turned away, and they saw not their father's nakedness.
Right. So they respected their father. They didn't look upon him when he was naked. They said, well, we're going to go cover him up. We're not going to look at him. All right, go ahead.
Noah awoke from his wine and realized what his small son had done to him.
He realized what Ham had done. Go ahead.
And he said, cursed is Canaan, a slave of slaves shall he be to his brothers.
So cursed be Canaan. All right, cursed be Canaan, a servant of servants. To the lowest servant. Go ahead.
And he said, blessed is Yahweh, the Elohim of Shem.
So Shem did something righteous. Go ahead.
And let Canaan be a slave to them.
So Canaan was going to serve the family of Shem some kind of way. So that's how you get the family of, remember when the Canaanites came to Joshua and them, they ended up serving us. So they served Shem like that. When Esau went down into Africa, Shem was serving him, Shem was being served by Ham that way also. Go ahead.
May Elohim extend Japheth.
So Yahweh will enlarge Japheth, extend Japheth, Yapah. Go ahead.
But he would dwell in the tents of Shem.
So he's going to be allowed to stay in that area, so all of them didn't get pushed out. Some of them stayed over in what we call Iraq now, right? Some of them stayed in that area. They didn't all get pushed out of
Slave to them.
So they still got some Canaanites that's serving the Japhetic people now, mainly on the Asian continent, not so much in the Pacific. All right, go ahead.
Noah lived after the flood 350 years.
Uh-huh.
And all the days of Noah were 950 years, and he died.
So all those nine, go ahead. Kalashva Debar Yahweh.
All that Yahweh said.
All that Yahweh said.
What we doing here?
What we doing here. So all that 950 years that Noah lived, he's watching the stars. He's watching the cycles of the moon. He's watching the cycles of the sun. He knows what's happening, right? What do you think he was doing with all this knowledge and information? If we looking at each other now, telling each other random stuff, what do you think Noah was doing? For 950 years, he was educating. He was teaching his people, his sons. Noah lived a long time. See, you read about Noah's life now, but people forget about the fact that when Ham, Japheth, Shem had their children, and those children had grandchildren, Noah was still alive. Noah was still alive. He didn't die. Noah was still alive. Everybody understand that? So these people would live long times. We look at, 950, and then it goes into about Japheth. If I'm not mistaken, Shem was alive when Abraham was alive. So these people, in other words, when we read about Noah dying right here, it's just telling you Noah's life. But remember, it says that after the flood, you see, you got Methuselah, you got Torah. Go look at the record again. You know, how old was Shem when he had this particular son or this son? You know, it may not go into the specific details for you to just easily see it. Look at this. Shem was 100 years old and he begot Arphaxad 2 years after the flood. Remember, Noah died what? 350 years after the flood. All right? So that's 100 years after the flood. So that's 2 years after the flood. And then Arphaxad, Shem lived after he begat Arphaxad 500 years. So Shem died 150 years after Noah. Everybody understand that? So that's 150 years after the flood, he dies. Now, who was born within that 150 years? Everybody understand what I'm saying? All right, so now it tells you in the course of in chapter 11, it says Arphaxad lived 55 years and he begat Shelah. All right, so Shelah was begotten 2 years after the flood. And then 50 years after that, he had a baby named Shelah. All right? So it'll be 52 years after the flood. So then Shelah was 30 years old, and he got Eber. All right, so that's, what, how many years are we now? Like, we're less than 100 years after the flood, right? And we got 3 generations. We got Eber. So in Eber, who did he have? Peleg and Arphaxad. Peleg and he had Peleg and who was his name? 2 sons he had. Well, let's just deal with Peleg. So Peleg, and that's when the earth was divided. So now, after the earth was divided, that's when Eber, the language was kept through Eber, right? But guess what? Those charts, print them out, and you can see how everybody was interacting. You understand what I'm saying? So what was my point I was making? You remember the main point I was making?
They were alive.
What was the point of saying that, though? That all that knowledge that they had was being shared with these generations. So Noah had 350 years after the flood to educate all of the descendants that came from his loins, right? So he taught them what happened before the flood. How did the flood happen? How did he build the boat? Which animal was good for this? The personalities of the animals. How was this animal active on the ark? You know what I'm saying? How did it act once you took it off of the ark? Anybody understand? So he's watching this stuff for, 350 years. All right? After the flood, he lived 350 more years. So now he's educating his family because he was a man of knowledge and he was righteous. And he told them the ways of Yahweh. All right, go ahead. No, I'm sorry, not go ahead. You finished chapter 9. Anything else to say? Anything to say about that? All right, next reader. Genesis chapter 10. And on Genesis chapter 10, this is what we call the table of nations. This is where all of the nations come from. All right, except it doesn't go into Ishmael, Moab, Ammon, Esau, Jacob. But the major players we're going to call out and let you see who they are today. All right, go ahead.
These are the descendants of the sons of Noah. Shem, Ham, and Japheth. Sons were born to them after the flood.
All right, so Shem went into Asia, Ham went into Africa, Japheth went into Europe, and they mainly got pushed out of Europe into the Pacific. Go ahead.
The sons of Japheth, Gomer, Magog, Madai, Javan, Tubal, Meshech, and Tiras.
All of that is the eastern part and the western part of the Mediterranean, Europe / Asia Minor. Go ahead.
The sons of Gomer.
Now Javan is like Javanites. All right, they went into the Pacific. All right, go ahead.
Ashkenaz, Riphath, Togarmah, the sons of Javan.
Ashkenaz is going into part of Germany. They got pushed out of there again, but the name stayed. So when we went there during the time of Charles Martel, okay, when we went there in the time of Charles Martel, coming from the Babylonian captivity, they called us Ashkenazi Jews, because we were Israelites that were in the Ashkenaz territory, just like Jews in Africa. I mean, Ashkenazi people are Japhetic. They're not there anymore. But the Ashkenazi territory, all right, was displaced by, first Israelites were there, and Esau came inside there, and Esau is still there now. But the Ashkenazi so-called Jews are not called Ashkenazi because they come from Ashkenaz. They're called Ashkenazi because they were in the area where the Ashkenaz people were, and that territory was called Ashkenaz. Everybody understand that? Go ahead. Go ahead.
Elisha and Tarshish.
So Tarshish is going to the Spain area. Javan, Kittim, that's all, again, that's their whole Mediterranean area, mainly going from Italy east. Italy, part of Spain too, like the coastal area, okay, Kittim area, that's when you're getting more into like Italy type of area. And then when you go into, which they don't really mention it here, but yeah, right here, Javan, that's going into more the island and Greece type of area. All right. Java, called the Ionians. All right. The Ashkenaz, they were in the area of Armenia. All right, but then they started rocking with the people over in the German area. And that was us. And then the Gentiles, white people, were with us. And when we got taken down, then they kept rocking with what we taught them. All right. Rigpath and Togama, that's dealing with some of the people that was over in Asia Minor. Okay. Some people say that's Cyprus, but some people also say it's going into like the Italy area also. All right, go ahead.
The Kittim and the Dodanim.
The Dodanim people say that some people say that's the inhabitants of the Aegean seas. But again, a lot of people got pushed out by Alexander and them, his father Philip. They pushed a lot of them indigenous people out of there. All right, the Peloponnesian Wars and all that type of stuff, and they were just fighting each other, and then fighting against the white people. The Dorian army and kept going past India, kept going. I doubt they went all the way around Africa. You know, they could have went into the Euphrates, they could have went into the Red Sea and went to the Horn of Africa, and then went to the Indian Ocean or whatever. All right, and then they could have went over into the islands over there. Their trade route. There is ancient maps showing you how they came from the Mediterranean into the Pacific. Right, and I know somebody that had some of the old maps that talked about that migration. All right, go ahead.
From these, the islands of the nations were separated in their lands.
So all of the people come from these forefathers. Go ahead.
Each according to its language are their families and their nations.
Go ahead.
The sons
Each
of
according to their families. See, you ain't say, I'm going to leave my family and go, I'm going to go be part of what Ham and Shem is doing. See, that was not happening in ancient Israel. So now you're not supposed to be mixing your race with other races, man. You're in slavery and oppression for the most part, and then the indigenous Americans and so-called Hispanic, Latino Americans, those are the 12 tribes. All right, go ahead.
The sons of Ham, Cush.
Cush is the people from part of Sudan, but they're mainly Somalia, Ethiopia, Djibouti, Eritrea. Those are the Cushite people. Go ahead.
Mizraim.
Mizraim is going into the people that were in ancient Egypt, but now a lot of them are in West Africa and in the Sudan area now. Okay, so that's Mizraim. Pul people or the Fulani people. Right, a lot of them come from Put. Go ahead.
And Canaan.
And Canaan. A lot of the indigenous Africans in South, like the, what's the people called? Begin with an S, the Sul or Sol, San people. Down in South Africa, a lot of them are the ancient Canaanites. Go ahead.
And Canaan, the sons of Cush, Seba, Havilah, Sapta, Ramah, and Sapteca.
Now some of these same names for Cush, some of these same names were used by families of Shem. Go ahead.
The sons of Ramah, Sheba, and Dedan. And Cush begot Nimrod.
So Cush begot Nimrod. That's 2 generations after Noah. So Noah and Nimrod were around at the same time because Noah lived 350 years after the flood. So Noah was there to tell him what the real deal was. Noah told him what the real deal was, but Cush or Nimrod still wanted to do wickedness. All right, go ahead.
He was the first to be a mighty man on earth.
So he was a mighty hunter, meaning he was skilled at killing. He was a master killer. Go ahead.
He was a mighty hunter before Yahweh.
So even the Most High saw that this was going to be a problem and an issue because he didn't have respect for life. He was a mighty hunter, could track and kill things. So the Most High saw and took notice of him. You know, the Most High Yahweh, he took notice of him. All right. So Noah, so Nimrod was known, he was a conqueror, and he was a Hamite. Okay? He was a Hamite. Some people say that the founders of the Sumerian Empire, which Sumer, Akkad, that was Nimrod's people. Those were Hamites that started that over there. And that's what the Babylonian mythology is built on, which was also founded by Nimrod. All right. So you got a map over there. Somebody give me that map book over there, and you can see Akkad and all these other areas. Was founded. Ham is the one that started these empires. It's a skinny book like this with a spiral back. It's on the shelf, like the second or third down. Go ahead.
Therefore, it is said, like Nimrod of his kingdom was Babel, Erech, Akkad, and Calneh in the land of Shinar.
So the beginning of his city was what?
Was Babel,
Mhm.
Erech, Akkad, and Calneh in the land of Shinar.
So he started all these kingdoms back there. Shinar is like, again, you deal with the Babylonian region again. All right. So I can pull it up. Yeah, they don't got all of them right here. So you said Babel too, right? Right. Say the cities again. Babel, which is in the that's like the middle Euphrates River area. Go ahead.
Erech.
Erech was that same zone. I think it should be in this Bible right here too. So look these cities up, man, and you'll see that like this was a Mesopotamian region. So the first civilizations of building large cities were not in what's known as Africa. It was in, the Middle East. Now, we don't have all that information right here. Go ahead.
From that land, Ashur went forth and built Nineveh.
So Ashur went forth and built Nineveh. And Ashur, he was actually worshipped as a god by the ancient Mesopotamian people. And he was called by his name, Ashur. So he must have been like a mighty guy. All right? And they didn't change his name or anything. And he set up the empire of Assyria, which was based upon the Tigris River, not the Euphrates. The Euphrates is east of the Tigris River. All right? So he was based in the Tigris River. That's where he built Ashur, the empire. All right? And then later on, that became known as the Assyrian Empire. Okay, it became known as the Assyrian Empire. Go ahead.
Rehoboth, Ir, Kala, and Resen between Nineveh and Kala, that is the great city. And Mizraim begot Ludim, Anamim, Lehabim, and Naphtahim, Pathrusim, Kasluhim, whence the Philistines came forth, and Kaphtorim.
So that's 7 main families of Mizraim. And the Yoruba got 7 main families that they come from, the fathers of one son. The sons of one father. Go ahead.
And Mizraim begot Ludim, Canaan begot Zidon, his firstborn.
Zidon settled in the coastal area of the eastern Mediterranean. Go ahead.
And Heth.
Heth became the Hittites that settled in the coastal area of Asia Minor around Turkey, and they moved inland. Go ahead.
And the Jebusite, the Amorite, the Girgashite, the Hivite, the Archite, the Sinite, the Arvadite, the Zemarite, and the Hamathite.
Mm-hmm.
Afterward, the families of the Canaanites branched out, and the Canaanite boundary extended from Zidon, going toward Gerar, as far as Gaza, going toward Sodom.
That whole Mediterranean coastal area, and they even going east toward the Euphrates. Go ahead.
Going toward Sodom, Gomorrah, Admah, and Zeboim, as far as Lasha. These are the descendants of Ham by their families, by their languages and their lands, in their nations.
So they had specific language groups. But the Cushites were started in the east as a major player in the east. That's why the Tigrinya, the Amharic, the Ge'ez, all those languages, even though they're in Africa, are classified as Shemitic languages because they have Shemitic bases to them, showing how these people were a major social player in the Mediterranean area. So the Ethiopians and the Somalians, they didn't really come into like major culture when they got into Africa. They had a major culture and major influence when they were over in Mediterranean by Babylon. Thousands and thousands of years ago. This is before the birth of Abraham. All right? The Cushites became a major people. Then they migrated from that area, Babylon, all right? And they came west, and they went into Africa. All right, go ahead. Verse 21.
And to Shem, also to him were born. He was the ancestor of all those who lived on the other side.
It says Hawa'a Abayakal Banya Ibar. It said he was the father of all the children, the sons of Eber. So it says Banya Ibar. So the reason it said Ibar, everybody had crossed over. We read about people coming on all kinds of places, Tigris, Euphrates. They crossed all kinds of rivers at this point. So they weren't called the children of those that crossed over. They was called the children of Ebar. And it singles out the children of Eber or Ebar because that's where the Hebrews come from. All right, go ahead.
He, the brother of Japheth the elder, the sons of Shem, Elam.
Elam are the people in India. Go ahead. Ashur is mainly the Iranian people, not the Iraqis per se, but the Iranian people are from Ashur. Go ahead.
Arpachshad, Lud, and Aram.
Aram are the people of Syria today. They've been in the area a long time. There's been a lot of movement in that zone, but they have been in the area a lot. Right? They didn't go too far from Syria. Go ahead.
The sons of Aram, Uz, Hul, Gether, and Mash. Arpachshad begot Shelah, and Shelah begot Eber.
Right.
And to Eber were born two sons.
And we come from Eber. Go ahead.
The name of the first was Peleg.
Peleg.
For in his days the earth was divided.
That's when Nimrod did his thing. When they did the Tower of Babel, when the Most High divided the earth. All right? The land as well as the languages. Because remember we read in Genesis 1 that everything was together. So when the Most High divided, he divided the land masses as well as the languages. Okay? Go ahead.
The name of his brother was Joktan.
Joktan, okay. Now Joktan is going to be some of the people in the Arabian Peninsula today. They didn't go far from Shem's. They didn't go far from Shem's pocket, Shem's power area when Israel came into play. Go ahead.
Joktan begot Almodad, Shalef, Hazarmaveth, Jerah, Hadaram, Uzal, Dikla, Obal, Abimael, Sheba, Ophir, Havilah, and Jobab. All these were the sons of Joktan.
Okay, so again, these people were on the Arabian Peninsula. These are Shemitic people. Because remember, you had Hamite people. Close that window. Maybe you had Hamite people with the same name. So they These people right here have similar names, but they on the eastern side of the Reed Sea, as opposed to Hamites on the western side of the Reed Sea. Go ahead.
Their dwelling place extended from Misha, going towards Safar,
Mhm.
the mountain to the east. These are the descendants of Shem, according to their families, by their languages, and their lands by their nations.
Mm-hmm.
These are the families of Noah's descendants,
Mhm.
according to their generations
Right.
and their nations. And from these the nations were separated on the earth after the flood.
All right.
Kashra Bar Yahweh,
Kalash Bar Yahweh,
Na'ishah and Ashemai.
Nashah and Shemai.
All Yahweh said,
All the Yahweh said,
what we doing here?
what we doing here? Go ahead.
Genesis chapter 11, verse 1. The whole earth was of one language.
The language that we now call, that's called Yahwediath in the Hebrew, and it's also called Ibadiath in the Hebrew. That's the language that everybody was speaking, the same language from creation. Go ahead.
And of common purpose. And it came to pass, when they migrated from the east, they found a valley in the land of Shinar, and settled there. And they said one to another, come, let us make bricks and burn them in fire. And the brick served them as stone, and the bitumen served them as mortar. And they said, come, let us build a city, and a tower with its top in the heavens.
Mm-hmm.
And let us make a name for ourselves, lest we be dispersed across the whole earth.
So this is what they call the one of the remains of that, what they call the ziggurats, which were the circular buildings with steps kind of going up, the ziggurats. All right, so that shows that that's the region when they were doing that stuff at, trying to build these big, wide base towers, up to the heavens. Go ahead.
Yahweh descended to look at the city and tower which the sons of man built. And Yahweh said, behold, they are one people with one language for all. And this they begin to do. Now, should it not be withheld from them all they propose to do? Come, let us descend and there confuse their language.
So the Most High intervened because they already he divided everybody in their own land, so they're bringing everything together. When you bring all these people together from different backgrounds, different ideas, and different thoughts, and different values, nothing but destruction can happen. And that's exactly what we see happening throughout the course of history. They got internal conflict. When you bring somebody from the outside, the conflict gets bigger. When you bring all these different people together, that's what the problem was. All nation was not created to dwell right beside each other, 5, 6 different nationalities dwelling on one street. Right? So the Most High, so that's Babylon, and that's what the Europeans, Edomites, have created. Go ahead.
That they should not understand one another's language.
Mm-hmm.
And Yahweh dispersed them from there over the face of the whole earth, and they stopped building the city. That is why it was called Babel, because it was there that Yahweh confused the language of the whole earth.
So Babel means confuse, confound. Babal. Go ahead.
And from there, Yahweh scattered them over the face of the whole earth.
Right. To scatter all of the people. All right, keep going.
These are the descendants of Shem. Shem was 100 years old when he begot Arphaxad, 2 years after the flood. And Shem lived 500 years after begetting Arphaxad.
Wow.
And he begot sons and daughters after begetting Shelah, and he begot sons and daughters. Shelah lived 30 years when he begot Eber, and Shelah lived 403 years after begetting Eber, and he begot sons and daughters.
Right.
Eber lived 34 years when he begot Peleg, and Eber lived 430 years after begetting Peleg, and he begot sons and daughters. And when Peleg had lived 30 years, he begot Reu, and Peleg lived 209 years after begetting Reu, and he begot sons and daughters. And Reu lived 32 years. He begot Serug. And Reu lived 207 years after begetting Serug, and he begot sons and daughters. When Serug had lived 30 years, he begot Nahor, and Serug lived 200 years after begetting Nahor, and he begot sons and daughters. When Nahor had lived 29 years, he begot Terah, and Nahor lived 119 years after begetting Terah, and he begot sons and daughters.
See that?
When Terah had lived 70 years, he begot Abram, Nahor, and Haran.
See, Torah begot Abraham. That's Abraham's father now. See how quick it just jumped? Like 6 generations, right? You know? Okay. So Abraham and Shem were alive at the same time also. Do you realize, like, you gotta really understand, like, when you read about Abraham in his life, you kind of forget about Shem, right? He's not really, but if you see him, his father Terah go on and say, okay, Shem, ancestor Shem, okay, Serug or Nahor, we leaving now. You know, whoever they say, we leaving now. You'll get a better understanding of how the family unit was and how.
Now these are the chronicles of Terah. Terah begot Abram, Nahor, and Haran, and Haran begot Lot. Haran died in the lifetime of Terah his father,
Right.
in his native land in Ur Kasdim.
So Haran died before his father, the point that they're making. All right.
And Abram and Nahor took themselves wives. The name of Abram's wife was Sarai, and the name of Nahor's wife was Milcah, the daughter of Haran, the father of Milcah, the father of Iscah. And Sarai was barren, she had no child.
So Iscah, that's where they get the name Jessica from. All right. Go ahead.
Terah took his son Abram and Lot the son of Haran, his grandson, and his daughter-in-law Sarai, the wife of Abram's son, and they departed with him from Ur Kasdim to go to the land of Canaan. They arrived at Haran and they settled there. The days of Terah were 205 years, and Terah died in Haran.
So when you say Chaldeans, it's really Kasidim or Kashadim in the Hebrew. Go ahead.
Kalashra de Bar Yahala,
Kalashara the Bar Yahweh,
Naishawa Nashemai.
Naishawa Nashemai,
All Yahweh said,
all the Yahweh said,
what we doing here?
what we doing here. So we in supposed to be 54:1 to 55:5. Okay, come up and Dwight, any commentary on what you read? Anything that stands out? Anything that was amazing to you? Anything that we need to understand that may have been?
After Shem, they started having children at younger ages.
Okay, so after Shem, they started having. That sounds like it seemed like something bad is on the horizon, don't it? Like, man, let's hurry up and populate. That thing ain't so bad. Most houses he gonna destroy the land again. Start having children at younger ages now. Why do you think that is?
Because they were dying younger too.
They were dying younger also? Okay. So maybe the Most High started to weaken everybody's life force. And then also that knowledge is not gonna be able to get transferred as long. To having children, they were dying younger first. Now they start to die. They could die younger, and then when they die younger, they say, oh, we're gonna have children younger. Or they can start having children younger, and that life force from that young man may not be as strong as it was when the man had the children when he was older. You know, so we don't know the answer to these things, but Shem was a righteous man, so was Abraham, you know. So maybe there's a scripture that talks about in Psalms 127, 128, it talks about children of the youth. So it's about the children, it talks about it in a good way. Even though Joseph was the child of Abraham's old age, right? And so was Benjamin. So you kind of see both sides of that situation. Okay. Anything else? Okay. Next reading. Isaiah chapter 51, verse 1 through 55, verse 5. You got it? 55:1? 54:1, do 55:5.
Sing out, O barren one who has not given birth. Break out into glad song and be jubilant. O one who had no labor, pains for the children of the desolate. Jerusalem outnumber the children of the inhabited city.
That's talking about Rachel. Our mother Sarah compared to Hagar. Because she couldn't have children, but the Most High blessed her with that one son. All right. Blessed her with that one son, Isaac, right? Sarah got blessed with one son, Isaac, and from there, Esau and Jacob, and that's the world powers. So even though she didn't have a lot of children, the Most High blessed her, Sarah, with that one child, all right? And for that one child, who was Isaac, that's where world powers come from.
Said Hashem Yahweh, broaden the place of your tent and stretch out the curtains of your dwellings. Stint not lengthen your cords and strengthen your pegs. For southward, not northward, you shall spread out mightily. Your offspring will inherit nations, and they will settle down.
It's talking about like growing your family and making the people like more population and more descendants to grow stronger as a nation. Go ahead.
Fear not, for I will not be shamed. Do not feel humiliated, for you will not be mortified. For you will forget the shame of your youth and the mortification of your widowhood, and will remember no more. For your master is your maker, Hashem Yahweh. Master of legions is his name. Your Redeemer is the Holy One of Yashar'Allah. Yahweh of all the world shall he be called. For like a wife who had been forsaken, and melancholy Spirit will Hashem Yahweh have called him, and like a wife of one's youth who has become despised, said Yerahiah, but a brief moment have I forsaken you, and with abundant mercy shall I gather you in. Forsaken you, and with abundant mercy shall I gather you in. With a slight wrath I have concealed my countenance from you for a moment, have eternal kindness, shall I show you mercy, said your Redeemer, Hashem Yahweh.
So, Yahweh is saying not to be ashamed or afraid uh, and to not be ashamed when he comes back for us, because after we sin towards him, he punished us and put us through a lot of suffering to get us back, but that was only temporary, and he was always going to come back. So the pain that he did put us through was only to make us better, but he wasn't going to leave us forever. Go ahead.
For like the waters of Noah shall this be to me, as I have sworn never again to pass the waters of Noah over the earth, so have I sworn not to be wrathful with you or rebuke you. For the mountains may be moved, and the hills may falter, but my kindness shall not be removed from you, and my covenant of peace shall not falter, says the one who shows you mercy, Hashem Yahweh.
So how Yahweh promised not to destroy the earth with water anymore, and not to destroy all people with the flood, that same way Yahweh says that he won't punish us anymore like he did, like putting us in slavery and putting all the curses on us. And he wouldn't rebuke us. He wouldn't turn away from us anymore. And he says that everything will change in the world. The mountains will change, and the hills, some will fall or be changed. But no matter what, his kindness and how he feels towards us will always remain the same. He'll always love us, and he'll never take away his covenant from us. Go ahead.
Even when he punished us in slavery and captivity, I mean, he still showed us mercy. He still allowed us to breathe and to live. He still allowed us to have an understanding, even at this point, of who we are. So his mercy is still being shown toward us, even in captivity. All right? That we know who we are. We know we have to come back to his Torah. And we know that we have to gain life everlasting through repentance and through his son Yahweh Shi HaMashiach. So even in his affliction that he put upon us, we still can see his mercy. We still can see his favor and his grace. Even in this captivity, we can still see that the world looks to us, that we've invented things on the earth that makes people's life more safe, let alone the entertainment that we provide them with. So this is an aspect of Yahweh not showing us wrath, and Yahweh still giving us favor in the sight of our enemies.
O afflicted, storm-tossed, unconsoled one, behold, I shall lay your floor stones upon pearls, and make your foundations of sapphires. I shall make your sun windows of rubies, and your gates of garnets, and your entire boundary of precious stones. All your children will be students of Hashem Yahweh. abundant will be your children's peace.
So he says that everything around us is going to be beautiful and precious. Everything. Our borders, our windows, all right, the foundations, all right, the floors, everything's going to be precious and beautiful to reflect the love and the value that Yahweh has put on us, as well as the love and the value that we should be putting toward our relationship with Him.
Establish yourself through righteousness. Distance yourself from oppression, for you need not fear it, and from panic, for it will not come near you. One need fear. Indeed, indeed, if he has nothing forever, aggressively opposes you, will not fall because of you. Will fall
Read that in
because
your Bible, verse 15.
Behold, they shall surely gather together, but not by me. Whosoever shall gather together against thee shall fall for thy sake.
So they're going to fall because of what they've done against us. That's verse 15, right?
Con.
Verse 16.
Behold, I have created the smith that bloweth the coals in the fire, and that bringeth forth an instrument for his work, and I have created the waster to destroy. No weapon that is formed against thee shall prosper, and every tongue that shall rise against thee in judgment thou shalt condemn. This is the
So Yahweh says he created the smith that blows the coals in the fire. So he created the person that makes everything. It's because of him that thing can be created and made.
Metalworks, weapons, swords, guns, arrows. Yahweh made the people that make that. So he's the maker of the weapon maker.
Come. This also goes into the nuclear weapons that the Most High allowed them to make to destroy themselves with.
Go ahead, Ariana.
And he also creates the people that destroy things. The waster. So he created the people that create, and he also created the people that destroy. And then he says that no weapon that is made will work against us. So Yahweh will protect us from everything and everyone that tries to do any sort of harm or damage to us won't succeed. Even people that talk against us or try to curse us, it won't matter, because Yahweh will nullify it. It won't have any effect.
And this is going to be something it's going to come upon the whole nation when the time is right. All right. Go ahead.
The heritage of the servants of Yahweh, and their righteousness is of me, saith Yahweh.
So that's what we receive. That's the gift we get from Yahweh, from our covenant. And that's what he says he'll do for us. Chapter 55. 25, verse 1 through 5.
Ho, everyone that thirsteth, come ye and take the waters.
Come ye to the waters.
Come ye to the waters, and he that hath no money, come ye buy and eat. Ye come buy wine and milk without money and without price. Wherefore do ye spend money for that which is not bread, and your labor for that which satisfieth not? Hearken diligently unto me, and eat ye that which is good, and let your soul delight itself in fatness.
So he's saying stop wasting your time and your energy on the things that's not going to give you a better relationship, a healthy relationship with Yahweh. Spend your money, your time, your effort, your energy on those things that are going to help you, that's going to give you favor with the Most High, that's going to give you understanding of how he wants you to be. All right?
Incline your ear and come unto me. Hear, and your soul shall live, and I will make an everlasting covenant with you, even the sure mercies of David. Behold, I have given him for a witness to the people, a leader and commander to the people. Behold, thou shalt call a name thy Ahiah, and for the Holy One of Yeshua Allah, and he has glorified thee.
Okay, so in verse 3, he says to listen to him and hear what he has to say, and if you do that, you'll be protected by, he'll protect you, and he'll make a covenant with you, even the sure mercy of David. So like the same way that David was protected and spared from a lot of really dangerous situations, he also gave David to us for a witness and a commander and a leader. That's for when we're in the wilderness. Yahweh's going to send David back to nations. We're going to be higher than all the nations, and all of the nations that we were going to before are for things that we needed or wanted. Then the roles will be reversed, and all the nations are going to be coming to us for things that they want or need. Because that Yahweh made a covenant with us and he glorified us. That's it for the Haftarah. Then for the Brit Kadash is Luke chapter 17, verse 20 to 27. For the Besorah.
Luke 17.
Good. 20 to 27.
Luke chapter 17, verse 22, verse 20. And when he was demanded of the Pharisees, when the kingdom of Amahiah should come, he answered them, neither shall they say, lo here, or lo there. For behold, the kingdom of Amahiah is within you.
So Yahushua was asked when the kingdom of Amahiah was going to come to the earth, and he told them that you won't find it by looking or trying to investigate it. So you won't ever be able to tell when when the time comes until it's there.
Meaning that the spiritual understanding and application of the rulership of Yahweh has to be put into the hearts of men first. That's why we say that kingdom come and your will be done. Thy kingdom come on earth as it is in heaven, and your will be done on earth as it is in heaven also. So it has to start from inside here. The earth is Yahweh's in the fullness thereof, and all that dwell therein. But if this was my kingdom, my subject, my soldiers, my armies would fight for me. Meaning he came to deal on a spiritual level to show us how to have redemption first. And then we can walk in the kingdom. All right, walk according to the King of Kings, exalting him. All right?
And he said unto the disciples, the days will come when ye shall desire to see one of the days of the Son of Man, and ye shall not see it. And they shall say to you, see here, or see there. Go not after them, nor follow them.
So the day's gonna come, they're gonna be like, oh, the Messiah has returned. He said, don't believe that. Go ahead.
For as lightning that lighteth out one part under heaven, shineth unto the other part of under heaven, so shall also the Son of Man be in his day. But first must he suffer many things and be rejected of this generation.
So when he comes,
So the same way that lightning just lights one small part of the earth, that's how the Son of Man be.
but you know it's there.
Con.
When you see that lightning, when you see lightning, you wonder what it says what? As lightning shines from what? The east to the west. So shall the coming of the Son of Man be. Ain't that what it says? Come on over here. Bring $100 too. For every 5 minutes that you see him. Want you to pay. You see? So that's what that's talking about. Be on point and be knowing what's going on around you and what times we're living in. All right, go ahead.
As it was in the days of Noah, so shall it be also in the days of the Son of Man. They did eat, they drank, they married wives, they were given in marriage, until the day that Noah entered into the ark, and the flood came and destroyed them all.
So the same way when the flood came down, the same way it'll be when Yahweh comes. They were living normal lives and just marrying and living until the flood came and they all died.
So he warned them this, they didn't listen. Same way now. They wanted to follow. Remember, the people.
When nobody's water was around. So they weren't. Just like our people now are kind of in the same mindset. Disbelief of the judgment that the Most High is about to bring on earth. But they continued in their wickedness. They were given into marriage. They were given into drink, carefree, or enjoying their life as they as they sought to enjoy it at that time. But then that day came.
Is that it? Is that all, Maya? So just beware and be warned. Apply the kingdom of Yahweh inside of you first. Apply the kingdom. Live as if you are a subject of Hamashiach first. See, he's not going to twist our arms or make us do it like you would, in America. And that's why you see a lot of these Israelites now, you see who's really for the Most High. Because the first opportunity they get, man, they doing things that's wrong. It's almost like you tell a child, hey, don't do this, and then you just sit back and watch them, and see them doing it. So now you see what that child heart we have to register in our spirit. We have to obey the Torah. Period. if we want to be part of the kingdom. Can you be a part of a kingdom and you're not doing what the kings? What happened to him? They put him in the lion's den. You defied Nebuchadnezzar, lion's den. So they put people in the lion's den, right? So now our people don't have a lion's den. They don't have no. What happened? That's when you see them doing their own thing. I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna smoke. I'm gonna put bones in my nose. You know? I'm gonna put bones in my nose. I'm gonna put a piercing in my tonsils. I can pierce my tonsils. You know? They're doing anything they want to do that they see what? What they see the Gentiles doing.
That's the example.
That's all thing I can't understand about these imitate and do. You see a bunch of worldly, wicked, Edomite, and Israelite people doing it. Sodomitish, Gothic, you know, drug-induced, crazed, hypnotized people. Lil Wayne got this pair, this. I'm gonna do it too.
I'm gonna put a real jewel in my forehead.
You know what I'm saying? His little feminine self.
Little Dirk.
What Lil Durk do?
I don't know.
You just mentioned him.
Yeah.
That was a little. That was little Uzi Vert did that. Crazy. But anyway, man, like, y'all don't see no Israelites doing this stuff. You decide that I'm gonna do this, I'm gonna do that. Cause that's what? That's America. Anything goes, baby.
Do as thy will.
Whatever you want to do, you go ahead and do it. Just pay your taxes and stop at the stoplight. That's all you gotta do.
Right.
Stop at the stoplight, obey the traffic rules. You can even do drugs in America now. They got prescriptions for you to just go out and get you you can get out and go get a prescription for some weed in America now. You can go get high. A lot of you Israelites falling for the okie doke. Okay, well, moving on. The same people that say, okay, go ahead and get married. The same people say you can go ahead and get a sex change. Same people saying go ahead and get the vaccine. The same people saying, go ahead and get a weed prescription. But you gotta take some of the evil that they doing. Oh, we ain't gonna do that. But the other evil. Oh, we can get high now with prescription. Ain't against the law no more. Oh, okay. I'm gonna get my prescription card then. And look at how you value the white man. Before you was giving out them prescription cards, a lot of y'all wasn't going out trying to get no weed and get high. But then the minute Esau, the devil, start to tell you, okay, you can do this thing that you ain't been doing, you've been believing is wrong as an Israelite that you can't do. Don't go to Amsterdam. You won't come back from there because everything is legal over there. All the wickedness is legal in Amsterdam. All right, in the city of Netherlands, one of the main cities in the Netherlands, Holland. Okay, so now Yahweh Shai is saying it's coming without observation, man. You got to be inside you. You got to be lined up to it, looking for what the signs of the times. If you don't know what the scriptures say is going to happen, you're going to be caught off guard, man. You're going to be caught off guard. If you off guard, you're going to miss. So you got to look at what the prophecies say. What do the scriptures say? And you got to get your temple straight. You got to get your temple right, man. You got to get your mind right, your body. You got to eat the right food. You got to say your prayers. You got to treat people with respect and dignity, humility, and honor. Toward everybody. Why toward everybody? So nobody got no fault that they can say against you. Okay? That's pretty much it. You got a last word?
Portion.
Can't hear you. You're talking real loud.
the end of the Torah portion, Noach.
So that's all, folks. Result, shoot a message into the inbox. You know, if you don't even look at the question you got about what we stated, what we said, our explanation of things. It's all pretty basic and clear. All right.